Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching. You'll have to excuse that I'm a little disheveled, but I'm doing this as an experiment to see how well you guys like the topic at hand. I hope this video isn't too dark, but I'd rather it be dark. That way you can't see my flaws. But anyway, this video is going to cover my obsession, my constant yearning and longing for my Spanish identity. Now, granted that my family is directly from Central America, specifically El Salvador. El Salvador. And we, of course, were the country at one point was part of the Spanish Empire. So, like anyone between Mexico and Patagonia, we all kind of share that history where the conquistadors, the Spaniards, came and settled the vast areas of the quote unquote New World, and a lot of them mixed with the indigenous peoples that were here. So many of us are mestizo, like I am. We're a combination of Spanish and Native American. So, with that in mind, with the historical aspect of what occurred, over these past 500 years, and I know many hate, of course, the idea that, Spain came and conquered, raped, pillaged, but, that's unfortunately part of history. Humans are flawed and they commit all kinds of atrocities in the name of whatever they're doing, religion or in this case, which was imposing Catholicism and the greedy search for gold. So within me, knowing my ancestral ethnic history, I was born and raised in the United States, but I still have always had a longing for Spain. I think Spain is a fascinating place. I've read so much about it. I've never been, unfortunately. I've never made time or had the chance, but it will be a goal. It is a goal eventually to visit the motherland, my ancestral homeland, because I do happen to have that ethnic, bloodline. The DNA is clearly shows that I do have Spanish blood. I have been to El Salvador on several occasions. So I have been there and seen my direct roots through family and stuff. But I want to go to Spain particularly because I want to learn about my further roots, to delve further into this part of my heritage. I think it's a fascinating place. It's obviously given the world some pretty cool, nifty films. If you would like Pedro Almodovar as a director, you know what I'm talking about. But they've also been very good lately making horror films. They've done some pretty good horror films. Spain has been quite a movie making powerhouse. They've always had some good directors and scripts and stuff. I wish they made way more films than they do, really, but who can compete with the United States or Bollywood or whatever? But so Spain has that on its side, and it has a great history of music too. Much of the stuff that I love listening to in Spanish to this day is by Spanish artists, directly from Spain artists. I love Miguel Bosé, who basically grew up in Spain. I think he was born somewhere in Panama, but he's pretty much a Spanish citizen through his upbringing and the way he speaks. I'm a fan of I like Julio Iglesias. I've kind of gotten into him lately as a retro thing. I never really got him when I was younger, but now I like him a lot. Very big fan of Rocío Dúrcal, or as the Spanish would say, Rocío. She was a wonderful Spanish artist. We lost her already. She's gone, unfortunately, but she had a beautiful voice. I like Camilo Sesto, another big Spanish pop star of this. So anything from the '70s era, '70s or '80s, I'm a very big fan of those Spaniards. I used to love groups like La Unión. That was another Spanish pop rock group of that era. Mecano was good. I like them. So as you can tell, I've always had this affinity for their musicians, their artists. Not so much anymore the modern stuff, because I think modern music has just kind of fallen in quality, unfortunately, and that goes for speaking English language music as well. But I've always been fascinated with Spain and its music. I love their films. I love their history, their architecture. Second to none, really. Their castles, majestic places, their monasteries, their cathedrals. Uh, they have such a wonderful history, because it was a land of kingdoms. It was a land of conquest itself. Spain was so Catholic, and yet at one point it was overrun by the Arabs, the Muslims, the Moors, as they called them, who were brilliant in their own way and contributed a lot to Spain, ethnically, culturally. But it was the Christian Catholic kingdoms that had to take over the land, the territory again from the Muslim invaders as they saw them. So that's a very fascinating history in of itself. So I love that whole period. I love the whole feudal kingdom systems. The fact that you had Queen Isabella and Ferdinand, the Catholic kings, sponsoring Columbus's voyage in 1492, the Spanish Empire, their kings, the royalty. I mean, the whole era, their whole period is just fascinating to me. So it's a country that I feel very connected to on many levels, and it is a definite goal and must to visit this magical land that I very much love without ever having set foot in it, because I feel like it's inside my soul. It's inside my being to admire the Spaniards. Now there's flaws, of course. There are flaws about them, like any human, any group of race or ethnic people. There's a lot of complaints about their, the conquest of the indigenous peoples, the diseases they brought, the murder, the pillaging. Well, I mean, like I said, no empire is without fault, and Spain was certainly that empire that did not, they committed atrocities, certainly, I'm sure, but what can you say? I mean, they mingled with the natives, so they obviously had their sexual appetites were definitely infamous or interesting, which is why they say, we Latinos are so, hot-blooded, because of that ancestry, that legacy that comes from them. And of course, our Native Americans too, our Mayans and our Aztecs were very hot-blooded people too. So mix those together and boom, you have a mega aphrodisiac there, combining those DNAs. So Spain is not without criticism, and a lot of the other European countries that were jealous of it because of the huge empire that Spain built at first, along with the Portuguese. There was a lot of hatred towards Spain, and so there was a black legend that was born that said, Spain is evil and cruel and psycho-Catholic and stuff, which they probably were, but which empire has not gotten away with all kinds of murder and horrible things. The British weren't any better, the French, and your current empire, the United States, China, Russia. Everybody commits atrocities in the name of power and empire. So Spain is not without its flaws, and also they have a history of that bullfighting shit, and some of that animal cruelty I don't quite agree with. I wish they would get rid of that. That's kind of not something I really like or agree with. I think they need to do away with those traditions, because we're better than that. We already eat meat and consume meat, which is a terrible thing, really, if you think about it. But but again, overall, I think Spain is a marvelous place. I'm fascinated by it endlessly, and I want to go. And I feel it in my DNA, my blood. It's there. It's a fascinating place.